Welcome, Blanka. I am so excited to talk to you today because it's a topic that I'm not very familiar with. So, at the Wellness Show, we talk about healing in many different ways. It could be physical, mental, health. Can you maybe just introduce yourself and what you do? Because I think a lot of people might not be familiar with that topic.
First of all, thank you for having me. And you will hear that I'm very excited about this topic and what I'm doing. So I'm so happy to share with people. Hi, my name is Blanka, and I'm the founder of Awarnest. And Awarnest is a healing and coaching company. And I use a very unique and very effective method called family constellation. And the foundation of family constellation, the method actually comes from Germany. And it's been around since the 1970s. And the foundation of the method says that whatever problem, mental, physical, financial challenges we have in our life right now, it actually goes back to generations. And it might don't even belong to us, but to other ancestors when there is an out of order in the family order.
Okay. And so, how do you question the person to really find out what's the deep issue, what's the root cause?
Yeah. So with this family constellation method, we can heal generations and generations, like even seven generations back, which is fantastic because how would you know? If you are lucky, you maybe know your great grandparents and maybe you heard some stories from them, but how would you know what happened five, six, seven generations back in just so much? Like, not just family wise, whatever happened there, but also like what happened in the world, like all the world wars or the other wars, or depending on where you are from, your nation's history. These are all affecting us, and we can inherit those traumas in our DNA and can affect us on a different way as of today. So, how a session looks like, I work with one on one clients, and usually we start with introducing the client introduces that what are his or her main challenges right now. Not deeply, so we are not going into deep history, we are not digging up skeletons that we don't want to, but just like couple words that here I have an issue with money, I have an issue with health, I have an issue with relationships, and I actually use colored papers. Some people are use little figures, or some people use plush figures. But I use colored papers, and I show these colored papers to the client, and we start to explore which topic is actually ready to be surfaced, because we are working with the soul. Whatever it's be ready to release. So some people come to me that, hey, I actually have a money issue, but it turns out that until their self-worth is needs to be healed, we cannot work on the money issue. Or some people is like, oh, I would love to find the love of my life, but they need a deeper healing somewhere else before we can work on the relationship part. So we test the water, that which way and which topic we need to explore further, and that what can be the root cause of that issue. So the beauty and the effectiveness lies in this method, that we go to the root cause. We go back to the generation where this whole issue started to trickle down, and we go back to the source, and that's where we heal it. And how we heal it, we have some conversations with the person who the thing happened, and we give back the responsibility, we give back the burden what we been, or my clients been carrying.
So you mentioned multiple examples, and it's quite interesting because it's not necessarily like mental health, but could be also physical health. Have you ever experienced with a patient or a client something related to their physical health before? Maybe that could be a good example for our audience.
Absolutely. So one of my most beautiful experience with a client was that she has endometriosis, and like very severe endometriosis, like her tummy was cramping. She felt like very intense pain because of the endometriosis. And usually when there is something feminine related issue, breast cancer, endometriosis, fertility issues, challenges as in the agenda, I start with looking at the older generations of women, what happened. And we hear this client's great grandmother who passed away actually giving birth. And so we had to give back, because when something in the great grandparents' time happens, it trickles down and comes into the DNA that, okay, actually giving birth or being a woman can be very painful or even lethal. And you wouldn't know that that happened, and that's why you inherited that thought, that limiting belief. But we cleared that out with that great grandmother, and her pain was actually relieved. Even like immediately she felt that, okay, I feel better, but like the next couple of weeks even further. But what was beautiful, that her daughter, adult daughter, actually out of nowhere texted her that actually my period this month was lighter and so much less painful. So this is when you clear something by the root, you're actually not just clearing backwards to the ancestors, but forward too. So the other generations coming after you don't have to deal with this anymore.
And how can you go up in generations? You said up to 7 generations, but when I think about it, I barely know much about my
Yeah.
grandparents and even less about the ones before that. So how can you climb up to 7 generations or even like six or seven, five?
So this is with the papers, and usually, so I put the, like for example, there is a physical issue, and I ask the papers or put the papers like a mom paper or a dad paper, or actually the current life situation, because sometimes actually what is affecting our physical, it can be that is something right now we have to deal with. Maybe it's even the partner that's causing the physical issues in the person. So sometimes it's the current family issue, or sometimes it's mom and dad related. But when I hear and I test further, that is actually, is it further generations back? And I start to test it. Is it the second generation? No. Is it the third generation? And this is where the woo-woo part and what it's very hard to explain comes in, that people are asked that, how do you know? And we work with a constellation field, and that field opens up for me and for my client when we are in this session, not other time. So for example, if you would ask me a question right now, I might not be able to answer because the field is not open and it would go against it, so it wouldn't open up for me. But when we are in the session, it's like the ancestors are talking to us. They want to help us. And those papers are representing people or concepts. And when you look at them, you have different feelings. Some papers is like, oh, I'm afraid of you. Or like, oh, I feel anxiety looking at that yellow paper. Or, oh, that blue paper, I would love to hug it. Or I just miss it. And that's when we are guiding that, okay, we go back like 4, 5, 6 generation. And then I start to test that, was it like a historical event that affected that issue? Or was it something in the family, like a forgotten love or somebody who didn't come back from the war? And that's when we can dig a little bit further that what can be that root cause.
Okay. And do you think there's something that we should all be doing at the moment to help you and help coaches like you in the future, like journaling, that can be just, pulled out for by the next generations that could help you in case the constellations or the field is not open?
So journaling, I love journaling. But personally, if that doesn't work for you, or because you don't like to write, it will not work for you. So what I always say to my clients, that the healing starts with you, and do whatever really works for you. If exercising is healing and helps you to be more in your body, that helps me a lot too, be in my body. And when I didn't know that how I should recycle my energy healthily, instead of like going out and party or drink or overdo something, that's when I turn to exercising. But meditating, yoga, wherever you can tune in a little bit, that really helps. And also, I never ask any prerequisites or questions for preparing for the sessions, but it's interesting to know, if you know, or if you can ask your parents, grandparents, if they are still around, that did something happen I don't know about? Like, did we lose a family member very early, like in an accident, or somebody passed away of cancer when he or she was 27 years old? So you can ask those, because those are the signposts that something might be missing or out of order in the family. But any type of healing, I think right now, it's beautiful and helps the next generation.
Yes, definitely. So I want to focus now a little bit more on you and how you got to that field. Can you tell me more about your history, maybe with your health, physical health, mental health, or if you ever like really stress your body, like how professional athletes usually do? Please tell me more about yourself.
Sure. So actually, I struggled with my body for a very long time, because I realized that how much my mom was projecting her fears and her not being satisfied with her body onto me. So how we all started, that when I went to high school, she was like picking on me that, oh, don't eat that much, don't do this, it's like you will be fat, you will be not loved like that. So this is how my whole gym journey started. And everywhere I moved, because I lived in California, I lived in London, now I'm living in Texas, the gym was the first thing where I signed up for. That was my quiet place, and I still love the gym. So but family constellation, how I got into, I actually moved to California from 2000 in 2011, and I was quite an older au pair that time. I moved to California to be an au pair in a multicultural family, and I left my corporate real estate life behind in Budapest, where I am from. And people were like, "That are you insane? It's like you are boardroom negotiating with brands, and now you are going to change diapers. It's like, why?" And they didn't understand. And I started to work for this family. They had lovely kids, still in touch with them. And that's when I realized that how much stuff actually we are pushing and projecting and passing on to the next generation. So even before I had kids, and I had a dry run with that. And honestly, that scared me. The impatience, the feelings, the emotions, the phrases I use. And when you say that, oh, I would never do what my parents did, and you swing the complete opposite.
Yeah.
But you still cannot explain, because it's inherited, it's in you, it's engraved how you grew up.
Mm.
And the same is similar with when you grew up with, let's say, an unhealthier family pattern, like eating not healthy food or not exercising. You grew up with those, and that becomes your norm. And it's so hard to rewire it. It needs a lot of consciousness and awareness that, okay, this is how I grew up, but I have a choice, and I can change it from now onwards. And that's what I realized in California. And I had a couple of family constellation sessions, but fast forward a couple of years, we wanted to have a baby, and I couldn't. I had multiple miscarriages in 1 year, and that was very tolling emotionally and physically. And that's when I went back and tried again family constellation, and I decided that I would like to learn it for myself so I can heal the next generation, because I'm healing for my daughter and for myself. So that's what I would like to pass on to other people, that any physical, any mental, any emotional can be looked at. I wouldn't say that it always can be healed, but at least you can look at it from a different perspective if you understand that it probably didn't start with your parents, it didn't start with even with your grandparents, but it started somewhere there. Somebody didn't come back from the Second World War and they had this guilt or the shame, or a mother who was left alone and had to survive with 5 kids by herself. So there are so many stories. It's a heavy history story, and you can hear from it, but you have to start the healing today.
If it's not too personal, can you share more about what do you think helped you to move from multiple miscarriages and heal personally to get to a comfortable zone where you manage to have your little one now? If it's not too
Absolutely.
personal, you don't have to share this if you
No,
don't
I'm
want to.
happy. I decided, and I told my husband that I wanted to open up about my miscarriages because it's such a taboo topic. And the more I opened up about it, people was like, yeah, we had miscarriages. Yeah, we had IVF or fertility problems too. So actually in the US is 1 out of 4 women experiencing a miscarriage in their life, which is quite a high number, especially if you like look at social media where it's like, oh, it's so easy. Yeah, for some people it's actually very easy. My brother have twins and it was easy for them, and for us took years. So what really helped me is, actually I was just so scared to pass all the stuff I had and I had to deal with and heal from my family, growing up in a very poor country, because it was a former communist country, socialist country. So I was 5 when a Berlin Wall came down, and Hungary didn't know how to live the Western life. The US had the nice jeans or the lovely treats or the exotic fruits, what Hungary didn't even know about. So I had to release a lot of fears around money, actually, that you need a lot of money to raise kids. How to raise kids is like, my mom was in a very much in a survival mode raising my brother and I. And I had to hear that actually raising a kid doesn't need to be survival all the time. So it was a lot of work and in multiple facets. And having a trusting partner, for example, I was scared to be a single mom and not having a partner, supporting partner. My husband is an amazing dad, so I really appreciate him in my life. But before even I met him, I was like, how this will gonna be? How can I be a mom and not struggle through this? Because I knew that struggle passes on to my kids and they will be stressed. So I was like, I'd rather not have kids, so I don't have to pass these on to them. So I had to heal those and release many of these limiting beliefs and fears that paralyzed me and paralyzed my body and my mind.
That's very interesting. I have a few people in my entourage as well that had miscarriages, and when I talk to them, I feel like it's often the same reasons, which is that they are very scared. They want the baby, but at the same time, they are overthinking a lot of other things about how it's gonna happen, what's gonna happen after it, how their relationship is gonna be changing, how is it gonna be with their financial situation, do they need to move, can they stay in their current apartment? And I feel like some women go through a lot of stress during that period, and then it could obviously have a consequence. So I think really talking about it and making it less taboo, just as you mentioned, something that is very important. We don't talk about those things enough, especially when it comes to female health, like anything related to reproduction when it comes to female and the issues that we may face, the mental pressure, the consequences. I do know a few people that had depression after giving birth, or that were way too close to their baby and just couldn't leave it for a second, even if they had a trusting partner. So it's very, very important to mention this to the general public and tell them that they are not alone in that situation. So,
So going back the helping piece, if you can write down that how was your relationship with your mother, it's a very important question. Or what kind of patterns you saw when you were growing up. Was your mom supported? Was your dad around? So these are all helping to see that where our limiting beliefs can come from, and help that what does it mean for you to be a mom right now. Right now it's like moms are not in an easy spot, because left and right you see that you should do this, you shouldn't do this, you should do this. It's like you have to be the perfect wife, the perfect mom, and perfect this and that. And it's just so hard to be, and then hydrate, eat enough, eat well, cook well, don't buy plastic toys. And it's like, wow, so you're just left and right triggered. And of course you are just have this like, I should rather shut down and not deal with this. And yes, those are all very legit questions, that what will gonna happen with my body, especially if you are a very sporty, very body conscious person. I was like that. I was scared that I will be fat for the rest of my life. And it doesn't need to be, but you have to face your fears, or at least be aware of your fears, and still do it, because the fear can paralyze you. Absolutely.
yes, that's a very interesting topic about the weight gain after pregnancy. There is also a lot of, I do bodybuilding for a sport, and there is the categories for moms. I've had some discussions with moms that actually told me that after pregnancy, they felt like they were not themselves anymore because of the weight gain, the body change, and that's how they ended up going very, very depressed before starting a bodybuilding journey, which I would say is you've got to be very careful with that, because if you're not mentally stable about how your body should look like and you jump in a bodybuilding, show and competition, it is very unhealthy. It is very bad for your mental health. If you are more comfortable with body image, it can be fine. So, one of the questions that I wanna have a discussion with you about is, how did you handle body image with pregnancy and after pregnancy? And do you have other women that had struggled with this
Yeah.
um, in your book?
So I'm happy to say you don't see it now, but I'm pretty much back to my pre-pregnancy weight. I still have a couple pounds on me, but that was very important for me. But what the society and probably ourselves women are saying, that we have to bounce back 6 weeks, 3 months, and why I'm not looking like the same person as I was before. And I recently saw a post on somewhere social media that actually it takes at least 1 year when after pregnancy you are getting back to yourself, and the hormonal is 2 years, and totally it's 3 years. So you are growing a little baby, or 2 or 3, for 9 months, and that takes up tremendous energy and resources. And what it helped me through that, actually when I was in it, first of all, my mantra was like, this is temporary. This is a period of my life. It doesn't mean that I will always be pregnant, especially 39 weeks pregnant, when I felt like a whale on the shore. And it's hard to walk or even just sleep. But so it's a temporary thing. And you can get your shape back. Yes, things are changing, and also fear of giving birth, the pain, it's also another real thing. And yes, there are some damages that can happen. We have to say it out loud. It's not like always roses and unicorns giving birth, but you can get your body back. It depends on you. You always have a choice. If you decide to nursing, that might take a little bit more time because you need your body to nurture. But again, it's just a temporary phase. And I know that when you are in the nitty-gritty of it, and in the middle of the night, I was crying at 3 a.m. in the dark because it was just so lonely. And your hormones are on a roller coaster, like minute by minute. But what helped me that is it temporary, and this is the time when I can bond with my baby. And my baby sees my body as a nurturing, beautiful thing. Because first of all, I gave birth to her. I nurtured her before and after. So even right now, my daughter is 2, and I'm showing my belly button to her, and I show her belly button, and I was like, you see, we were connected here. That's how I was feeding you. And she's like pushing her little belly button out. So the sweet things of like how you can connect, and the miracle of what does it mean to actually growing a baby. And whenever you feel ready, and if you have the village to support you, my husband is also a very active person, so he absolutely supported me in the healing journey and the recovery journey. You can start your pelvic floor exercises, your tightening exercises, and even before pregnancy, you can get your body into shape, because if you are in shape before getting pregnant or before giving birth, your body will remember. Those muscles are there. They just need to be a little bit retrained.
I'm super excited about the topic because I have so many questions at the same time. Um, since we're talking about weight gain and pregnancy, but also family constellation, because this is still the topic of the day,
Yeah.
I'm very curious about something, and if you're okay with that topic, what I'm thinking about is childhood obesity. This is something that I look into a lot because I come from childhood obesity myself.
Yeah.
And now, just talking to you, I just started, thinking about my multiple generations and everything that happened and what could be the cause for it. Now, the issue with childhood obesity, despite knowing pretty much where it comes from, I think it's very hard to deal with, because as a kid, you don't have the knowledge. Even if you go to a coach like you yourself, I wouldn't, at 8 years old tell you, oh, there was a war in Algeria and
Yeah.
everything. So I think that we have to bring the education and the knowledge to the parent. But how do you think we should tackle these kind of things? Because it's not very common that a parent would go and say to a coach like you, my kids are having body weight issues at a very, very young age, and we're seeing childhood obesity absolutely everywhere. It could be related to multiple, factors. It could
Yes.
be due to history. It could be to the fact that the parents are feeling overwhelmed these days with everything that they have to
Yeah.
do. So, how do you think we should tackle this issue at a large scale to be able to reduce the childhood obesity and the impacts of the parents' like busyness and knowledge to to fuel their kids a little bit better than before?
Couple things. Because living in the US means that you have access pretty much to anything. And whatever you see, that as a parent, you are the leader of your child. You are leading by example. So if your kid is saying that you are eating a broccoli or eating just mac and cheese 6 days out of the 7 days, that's what they were gonna do. When we started to give solids to my daughter, we wanted to give her a wide variety of food, and that's how we try to eat. That even if she doesn't like spinach today because it got stuck on her mouth so many times that she just like, no, I'm not doing this, but she eats a wider variety of food because we as parents, and if I pack that to her, she will eat what I give to her. And I know that she's only 2, and there will be plenty of birthday parties, plenty of trick or treats coming. So I have to be very mindful. But there are ways. But also I don't want to cut like completely sugar out of her life. I don't want her like from one way to another, and she goes to another party and binge eating the chocolate cake because she doesn't get any. So what I try in our parenting is the balance, a healthy balance. Today I ate a bite of dark chocolate and she smelled it on my breath. I was like, how do you know that I ate chocolate? And she was like, chocolate. And I don't want to be hypocritical with her. It's like, if I ate a piece of dark chocolate, I will give it to her. Of course, I gave a smaller bite, but it's like, if mommy eats it, she can eat it. So this is like not a, oh, you cannot have it, I have it kind of thing. So that's the eating part. But from family constellations perspective, the beauty of family constellation that actually you can work on your child up until they are 16, 18 years old. Why is that? Because kids actually energetically are very, very connected to their parents, especially to their moms. So what it means that kids are like still very pure. They are still very connected to the source, universe, God, how you call it, if this resonates with you, but they are still very much tuned in. They don't have the filters put down by parents, teachers, society, what we as adults we have. But what they do is they are so tuned in what's going on with their lovely caretakers who they are rely on to survive, that they pick up the emotions, they pick up the feelings, they pick up the energy. So they can also pick up that, oh, mommy is stressed, oh, daddy is actually have some anger issues because he doesn't know how to express his angers. And that can come as overeating or overweight, even with kids, because they are starting to have a protecting mechanism. And or when they are growing up, for example, in an emotionally more dry place, home, and they want to fill up that void, they maybe reach for the chocolate, or maybe they reach for food. So those are like having overeating. Of course, if it's not like a thyroid problem or other things, but it's pure overeating and then obesity, it can be that, what do I want to fill up with food? And what does food gives to me? Am I looking for love? Am I looking for comfort? Am I looking for like that fullness, or like that coziness, or whatever food gives to you? So as a parent, of course, as an 8-year-old, you cannot come to me and he's like, hey, I need help because I'm actually eating more chocolate than probably I should. But as a parent, if you know you are struggling with something, probably it's your kid is also struggling with the same thing. Or you can lead by example of what you give to your child eating. But if you want to have like a more spiritual way, starting healing, you can have any different holistic modalities or any other traditional therapies that would help you.
So, in family constellation, obviously, family is the most important. And in that specific topic, do you think if the family members are not ready for any kind of therapy, education or like, the schools, initiatives in schools could balance it? Or do you think it's not enough because the connection with the family is at a deeper level, and so it would never be able to catch up or balance the effect of the family, and the lifestyle that they have?
So there are fantastic teachers out there who can help a little bit with, like, if they are seeing that the kids is struggling, they can let the family know because they spend a lot of time with their child, or they can give a big hug to the child or check in with the child. I was bullied in elementary school, and I wish I would have a teacher who would care more about me, because they spent like 8 hours with me daily, 5 days in a week, and my parents were busy and dealing with other issues. So and they didn't know what to do. That was 30 years ago, so bullying was not as popular to talk about or like more socialized, and nobody knew what to do. And I wish I would have teachers like that, but healing is not the teacher's task. First of all, for example, a teacher cannot come to me that, hey, I have this family and I would like to help them, because that's going against the free will of the person. A mom, if she knows that, for example, dad has issues, can try to heal some pieces, but only the pieces that is actually affecting her, the family, and the child. Because again, we cannot start to clean up somebody else's closet if they don't like it. That's against their free will. They have to be ready for that, and they have to have that decision to make. And we are also taking away the power from them if we start to clean up. I worked on some stuff with my mother-in-law, but just because it was affecting my daughter and me. I cannot start to heal her lineage, my husband's whole lineage, just because I was like, I can do this. That would be against her will. And she needs to be ready. We cannot heal something that somebody is not ready for. So I hope that this is answering your question, that teachers can help a little bit, but they cannot completely take over the healing part, what is actually the family's task.
I see. I was hoping for a solution to be able to, get the knowledge and then pass it to my brother, or do the therapy and then my brother heals somehow. But I don't think it's going to be working, because the will of my brother is very strong to not do anything. So, yeah, it's very interesting. So, do you usually do one person at a time, or do you also do, for example, couples? Because I guess different history, different lineage, different ancestors, um, or maybe it could be because they are together because they have common things in their ancestry. Maybe, I don't know if this is a term.
It's very interesting. No, I haven't had couples yet.
Okay.
And I will. It's not a secret that there are more women are coming to me than men. I have male clients, but it's a little bit more difficult to start with them because they want their logical brain and how this will gonna work. But yesterday I just had a male client, and he had wonderful breakthroughs, and he's like, I need to come back to you. This is amazing. And he said that it's like, I didn't know that I have an issue. And when we started to peel those layers and bring all those emotions up from his body, I was like, I actually have more issues than I thought I have. So no, we have to respect your brother's will, especially if he's a hard no, I'm not doing this. Actually, I had that with my dad, and stepping back and saying that I respect your life, I respect your choices, was harder for me than wanting to be help. And it's like, how can I help you? How can I help you? What can I do for you? And when I realized that it's actually not my responsibility, it's not my task, especially if the other person is an adult, that was a change, like a turning point in my life. And actually, interestingly, it helped my dad a lot, because he hit the rock bottom and he came back like so much more powerful. So sometimes we have to leave our loved ones hit the rock bottom and they can come back. So, sorry, back to the question. I usually work one-on-ones because whatever they bring up is usually very personal. So that's why I don't like to do, for example, on a podcast unless the other person is very open, because we can bring up stuff that, first of all, my clients many times cry, which is actually a form of relief. So that's great. Or sometimes they yawn or like have shivers, body aches, something. So it's a very personal experience. And that's why we keep it in a very confidential setting.
All right. These days, we hear a lot about, the spectrum of autism, but also ADHD. A lot of people are making jokes about ADHD. I think I have ADHD, but
Yeah.
um, this is something that's actually very interesting because I'm wondering if it's really, we talk about neurodivergent brain.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, is it really neurodivergency in the brain, or is it more of, something related to the family, to the way you grow up? Because you see in some families, you have like one person or all of them, and some families have none of them, but the parents may be ADHD. So it's very interesting, and I'm wondering if it's related to the family, to the way they grew up, or it could be really the brain shape that could be different. I'm not very knowledgeable about the topic, so I must say that I don't know if there is a difference in the brain shape. It's just what I've heard during the recent years. So have you dealt with any, not necessarily ADHD or autism, but more like mental health that is usually considered a medical health, but could be in reality something related to the family?
I actually did. I haven't had a client, but I read about clients with autism. And even if family constellation doesn't heal autism, it can improve the condition. Based on the books I read, these are from German authors who's been doing family constellation for years and years. But I don't say that it's always family related, but you can always look at it from a family constellation point of view. So when I would have an ADHD client or an autistic client, or a family member, depending on the spectrum, I would put the autism in or the ADHD in and see that who does it actually belong to, who is it coming from. And when somebody has like severe cases, it might be actually from both the mom and the dad's lineage. And I have an ADHD client, and for him, ADHD, so he is diagnosed ADHD. We have to make a differentiation, because it's like so many people, as you mentioned, it feels like trendy that, oh, I just have ADHD or I have ADD, or it's like I don't know how to focus. So he's a diagnosed ADHD person, and person with ADHD, sorry. And when we did a session for setting up his ADHD, actually we realized that it belongs to his uncle. And there was some, I don't want to go into details because of his privacy, but there was some kind of abuse going on in the family. And he brought that as a form of ADHD. And when we are healing that lineage and that abuse, it's actually helping his ADHD too. Again, I'm not saying that ADHD or the autism is always just family related and nothing is going on in the brain. That's not what I'm saying. But you can always come for a session and see that, hey, can we improve the condition even if we cannot fully heal it, or see at least who does it belong to.
Yeah, that's a really good take. Actually, we can always improve things. Sometimes we cannot heal completely
Yeah.
something, but we can always improve the situation. Is there anything that you usually prescribe? Like, for example, it could be yoga, it could be Pilates, something like, I know a lot of people tell me to do meditation and to slow down in my life. I do not have the time, unfortunately. I wish. But yeah, is there something specific that you usually recommend? It could be multiple different things based on the situation, of course, but
I wouldn't prescribe anything as such, because it might not work for you. Depending on the session what we have with my client, I usually ask them if they journal. Journaling can be very good. It's actually just jotting your thoughts and make some clarity and what's going on in your life. I love a trigger log. So if you go to my webpage, you have a free trigger log. And why I love that trigger log, because you can start to note how and why you are triggered and who is pushing your buttons, if it's your micromanaging boss or your kids when they are shouting something disrespectful. And from those triggers, you can see the patterns. And when you see a pattern that, oh, I'm keep attracting addicts as relationships or in a relationship, or I'm keep doing something that doesn't feel even that it's me. When you see those patterns, that's when you can start to heal, because you can question that, okay, is it actually mine? Does it belong to me? Or like for me, it was like when I had these thoughts about my body that, oh, I will not be able to lose weight. Is it my fear, or is it actually my mom's fear? And that's when I realized that it's actually not even my voice, but my mom's voice, who always struggled with her weight. She, as of today, she's still struggling with her weight. And she stopped bugging me about it because I lost weight and she's not. But and now I can differentiate that, okay, how is it coming from her, or when is it actually me when I don't feel comfortable because I'm more body conscious in my mind. I know when I gain weight and I don't feel good, and what can I do about it? But you have to bring that awareness to those patterns, to those voices in your head, that who does it belong to? And you can heal whatever you can and let behind what you don't need anymore or don't serve you anymore, and heal what is like, okay, this is me, I have a choice today and I can do something about it.
Yeah. It's very interesting when it comes to the family topic, because when we find our triggers, and it's, for example, you mentioned the micromanager, you can always change a job, you can do something about some of the situation when it's an external person putting pressure on you. But it's always very difficult when it comes to family. I come from a very traditional family, and putting boundaries with my family is very, very hard. And I'm always scared of, if I put a boundary with my parents, especially because, they are old now, I'm not going to change a 60 or 65 years old person's mentality and, tradition. So I'm always scared of, if I put the boundary, if that could hinder our relationship and if it could have an impact as well on the next generation. So how do you feel about putting boundaries, especially in the family, as a way of healing and moving forward with your life, the way that you want to move forward with your life?
Before I answer your boundary question, if you can let me just one thing about the micromanaging boss. Even if you leave your job, but you still have the root causes and the patterns, you will go to another job and you will have another micromanaging person. I can tell you that 100%. It happened with me. Actually, micromanaging was like really my trigger. And from one place that I wanted to leave, and that's when I realized that even if I leave that one job, one workplace, that one person, because it's in me, it will come to me to the next place. So I rather tackle it there. And it's like, why it was bugging me, it's because actually my parents were very controlling, especially my mom. That's when I realized that, okay, actually my micromanaging boss was repeating the pattern I learned from my mom. So that's when you can heal, and then you are like, okay, she's micromanaging. That's her. I cannot change her, but that's okay, because it's not bugging me anymore, because there is not like a signpost telling me that actually your mom was doing the same kind of thing. So boundaries, yes. When you start to heal, your family will be healing with you, because they will realize that they cannot talk to you the same way. And at the beginning, that's very annoying and frustrating, and they may even make some comments that, oh, you changed, oh, you are not the same person. And it's like, yes, I am not, but that's okay. So that part of it is like, I always said, it's like a 4-leg chair or a 4-leg table. When I decided that I want to heal my past and I moved to California, it feels like I broke one leg. And my family were like in a family dynamics, in like a psychology called dynamics. And they were like, okay, somebody moved out, and what do we do about it? And how they try to balance it out. It's like pulling me back the same way as we were before. But it doesn't work anymore because I changed. So actually, since I started my healing journey, my mom changed. Of course, because of the lot of healing I did in her lineage too. But she realized that she cannot say the same ways, or I can actually stand up for myself. It doesn't matter if she doesn't want to heal, but because it's not triggering me, or I had like very severe anger towards her for things. So I wrote her a letter, actually. That's one thing I really like and tell to my clients, that write a letter. And if you don't have to give it to the other person, you can burn it, you can flush it in the water, toss it in the ocean, whatever you would like to. But I wrote a letter, and I wrote every single small things down that was angry about from my childhood. And I'm not angry anymore. It wasn't just a letter, of course. One letter will not resolve everything, but that's when you can stand up for yourself, but from more like a clean, clear core place, instead of from your anger. Because when you're trying to set boundaries from anger, that's when it gets into like an angry conversation, that why you are doing this is like because I want to do that. But when you are like, you are not triggered anymore, or even if they are making a sarcastic or cynical comment, they cannot bug you because you know who you are. They are like, oh, okay, we cannot pick on her anymore because she changed, and that's okay. But it has to come from a very like secure place in you. And that's why I like to say that you have to change from inside out instead of outside in. Because whenever you are starting to change inside, the outside, the environment of things, your family will line up in alignment with your new values and your new beliefs.
That's very interesting. You also mentioned, I totally hear your words, absolutely every one of them. I do remember about the micromanagement saying, "You're not my father." So I totally relate to that. And that's why now I'm my own manager, but I hate my new manager. She wakes me up in the morning. She lives with me in my apartment. So I'm my new micromanager. Very, very interesting. And you mentioned also something about the projection of fear. That's a
Yeah.
topic that I would like to maybe dig a little bit deeper in, because that's something that's very interesting, especially as an entrepreneur, and also an athlete. I have a lot of people around me projecting their fears on me, and we've mentioned it with multiple people around me that they feel the same thing because they get to a very competitive, sport, or they are in a setup that is not the usual setup, like not a 9 to 5. They're taking risks,
Yeah.
so everyone is projecting fears to them when they are already feeling, it's very stressful to be in that situation in the first place, and people adding their projection of fears. We don't know if we are the ones attracting that projection of fear because we are stressed and we are also very anxious about what we're doing because we don't really know what we're doing, or if it's just a human thing to project their fear as a way for them to warn you or to try to protect you.
So, fear is natural, fear is human. It's not like you don't have fear. The people who are very successful, very rich, however you see success, it's not that they don't have fear, but they are okay and make peace with their fears, and they still do it. Many of us sometimes are paralyzed by fear. That what if? What will my family will say? What if I will not be able to speak in front of a crowd? What others thinking of me? How do I look? Am I sweating? So it's like so many fears are coming, but it's natural. Public speaking is the number one fear actually before death. So yeah, based on the research, I once I read it and I was like, it's public speaking is the number one fear before death.
Wow.
So it's completely natural, especially if you are looking at your personality type. Are you an introvert? Are you a more extroverted person? What does comes naturally to you? But you can work on it. It's so, and after you start to tune in and listen a little bit, sit with yourself, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be meditation, but like warming up a nice cup of coffee or tea or something, and just checking in with you that, hey, how are you feeling today? It's so powerful because and just question it that, hey, this and this said that I'm not good enough for this competition, and maybe I should not do it. Is it your fear or is the other person's fear? And if you are okay with this, what I usually do is actually, like in the morning, I cover myself with a white or gold energetic field. So no other energies or entities can suck my energy or come to me that actually doesn't serve me. If it's too woo-woo, I understand, or too spiritual, but it can help to actually like kind of shield you that, okay, I just need only the positive things. Not in a very fluffy way, that positive vibes only, but it can help you to again differentiate and clear out space what doesn't belong to you or other people's fears, beliefs. Because especially if you go into a crowded place, these are all energetic fields, and all the people are coming. If you would visually see them with all these fears, beliefs, backgrounds, filters, and if you are receptive for that, because it might be your trigger, because you are like, you don't feel enough in that moment, you are more receptive. It's like there is a little hole on that shield that actually that little arrow can go in, or that little medusa or jellyfish hand can like. So, but when it's not a trigger for you, it's okay if the other person has a fear, and whatever might be a fear for me, maybe not a fear for you, because you are so wonderfully a great speaker, and I'm like introverted, and it's like I freeze when I have to speak in front of people. But write it down. Write your fears down and see that, is it still true? Where is it coming from? Maybe your public speaking fear is actually coming from school when you were like in 6th grade and they laughed at you in front of the class. So you can list your fears and look at it then, is it still true? Where is it coming from? Is it actually mine, or somebody told me that I cannot sing or cannot dance? And that's when it's like you can start to heal on those.
Since you mentioned that having like that little time where you put a lot of positive energy around you, or the white field you mentioned,
Yeah.
I was wondering, is this similar to what a lot of people are calling manifesting? Like manifesting that a lot of good things are going to happen during the day, manifesting that their life is going to be great and everything that they're going to be doing is going to be very successful. Do you also do manifesting in general?
Yes and no. I do a lot of visualization. So I like to imagine. I like vision boards too. So I don't know if you're familiar with vision boards. I truly believe in them. I create them on my laptop, and I like to see what I would like to achieve in like a materialistic world, in like a spiritual self-development way. So I always have something on it. But that's also visualizing that it doesn't mean that it's always just happy and pink things will happen with you and just good people will come to you. How would you have the lessons, and how would you learn, how would you develop if it's always just good things? But when you know that even if more challenges are coming to your way, but you can handle it because you have the strengths, you know who you are, you know your self-worth, is easier to handle. So manifesting, so many people, when the secret came out, they were like, oh, it's just the law of attraction and I can manifest whatever we want. Not quite that. You have to be very conscious and aware of your values and what you want to manifest, because you might manifest 100K a year and you get there and it's like, this is it, this is not what I wanted. So it's like knowing that, again, weeding out your limiting beliefs, weeding out those filters, and really go back to your values, what's important for you. You can start to build and manifest or visualize what you really want to attract in your life. Right now, I wanted more podcasts, so that's the direction I went in, I'm applying. It's not that I'm just laying back and it's like, oh, somebody will like reach out to me. So you have to do your things, but you have to also let it in that whatever comes, you can handle.
Mm. So, manifesting, as you mentioned, you still have to do the thing and then hope that it will work out. Do you think that manifesting then can have an impact on the next generation?
Absolutely. I think that because the work we are doing and healing physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, we are bringing values and important lessons into the next generation's life. So many of us are working on leaving this world in a better place than we got it. And everything we do, like sharing messages, sharing positive intent, sharing positive vibes, is healing. And it's healing the next generation. And it's actually putting a good foundation down, the good bricks in that foundation for the next generation. So yes, I believe that whatever good we do, even if it's just like helping somebody on the street or saying I love you or hugging, you never know how your words or acts like a butterfly effect affect somebody. Somebody came back to me years later that, oh, once you gave me a lift when I was living in California, 2011, and I gave her a lift and her grandson, and it was like so positive, and she was so thankful for me, and I didn't even remember. That is like 11 years ago or 12 years ago. What did I do? And she's like, oh, I still remember you because you did that for me. So yes, that's healing, and that's a better foundation for the next generation.
That's awesome. That's a super good message to take away. Especially we're coming at the end, and I actually was going to ask you if you have one thing to give to the audience today, like one advice. I think you gave a really good one. If you want to give a like a one sentence advice, we would love that as well.
I always say that healing starts with you. Not pointing finger, just take back the responsibility, the remote control of your life, and whatever works for you, just heal that way.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for your message. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming. And is there any way that someone can reach out to you to
Absolutely.
get more healing, to get more about the topic? Just let us
Yes.
know what is the best way of contacting you.
Yes, so everybody can reach me on at awarenest.net is my webpage, and book a free call. Just chat if the method I'm using is a good fit for the person. So thank you,
Right.
and thank you for having me and be able to share this message and
It was
our
an absolute
conversation.
It was an absolute pleasure, and I have so many questions that we could be here for 3 more days. So I will stop it here so that people can reach out directly to you and they can have all their questions answered. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I really
Thank
appreciated
you.
your free time. Thank you.